Alabama had their cold summer cookout this past weekend. They also lost some of their biggest recruits in state to Auburn. We're going to talk to Clint Lamb about what that means and what Alabama's doing forward. And Big Sexy Elmo will be on as well to give us what's going on today. All that right here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Let's get this party started. All right, roll tide, everybody. There he is, Clint Lamb. What is up, dude? Thanks for being back on the program again.
I'm doing fantastic, Mick. How you doing, brother? It's about to be football season. So as fun as this summer has been, it's been a cold summer for Alabama, but I think it's time to start strapping up the cleats and putting the pads on, and let's start banging heads a little bit.
Yeah. Of course, with Bama Online. Clint, tell us what the hell does cold summer cookout mean anyway? I mean, is there like a meaning behind that I just don't understand?
I'm not exactly up to the young generation's lingo. I think I know what it means, but what I'm not going to do is state what I think it means, and then everybody in the comments roasts me and tells me it means this, and now like an idiot. So I think I know what it means, but it's working for Courtney Morgan. It's working for Kalen DeBoer. It's working for Alabama. Don't know exactly what it means, but those young kids, they seem to love it, man.
Yeah, we had some of the recruits that was the number one recruiting class. Now it's slid down, but a lot of guys in town, still a very talented class. The picture that I have from the cookout in my mind is looking at Jalen Milroe hanging out with Keelan Russell. That's the memory that I have from this thing.
Yeah, you got a little bit of the present, got a little bit of the future. The only thing that could have made it better is if they could have brought in, a former Alabama quarterback and got the pass covered too. But as far as present and future, they've got it covered. Obviously, Jalen Milroe is continuing to grow. Obviously, Keelan Russell, very talented guy, continues to climb the recruiting rankings. He continues to grow. What's crazy is that every time that anybody sees this kid in any kind of competitive setting, he's better than he was previously. And so that's exactly what you're looking for. So you're seeing the growth on that front as well. And it's exciting for Alabama at that position because we know how important that position is under Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's get into a topic that a lot of Alabama fans are concerned about, and that's they've had some players flip to Auburn here in the last week or so, right? Lost for what's been one of the weirdest recruitments. Antonio Coleman out of Saraland, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, now back to Auburn again. Who knows how this is going to end? But he's flipped, and I mean, and then lost another guy. Smith went to Auburn as well, and then Auburn got another commit over Alabama. So Auburn's got a lot of momentum now.
Yeah, there for a while, Alabama had a lot of momentum on the recruiting trail. What's wild is you've got people kind of freaking out about what's transpired over the weekend regarding Auburn and regarding Alabama as far as losing a couple of guys. It's still the number 2 class. So, it's littered with 5-star talent, top 100 talent, 4-star guys. And just like last year's class, I don't think we talk enough about some of these 3-star guys. I think they're developmental. I think they all have some deficiencies, whether it be height, length kind of thing, whether it be weight, whether it be a rawness to their game. But the overall ceiling, I can understand where a lot of these guys, pretty much all of these guys, would be appealing to, even a top program such as Alabama. So even the 3-star guys, they matter. They're important. And we've seen so many 3-star guys emerge and be stars for Alabama in the past, even when Nick Saban was recruiting all the 5-stars and the high 4-stars and all that stuff. The entire roster was littered with them. But you still have those, lower rated guys who made a significant impact. So while fans are kind of freaking out about Auburn having a successful weekend, you had the cookout. So it's like you would expect maybe a little bit more, in Alabama's favor as far as some of that momentum. They've had a really good summer, a very cold summer. And they have the number 2 recruiting class in college football with a chance to continue to build on that. So I don't think anybody should be freaking out whatsoever. There's a lot going into this process, and Kalen DeBoer and company are working that process.
Yeah, it's Derek Smith that also flipped, and then Anquan Fagans picked Auburn over Alabama, the guy from Alabaster, and Georgia and LSU. So I guess to me though, it's seeing guys go from Alabama to Auburn never sits well with me. One of the concerns I had, and I think that Courtney Morgan's done a really good job as the GM of recruiting, is that you get all these guys nationally and they're important. And there's some really, really great recruits, some 5-star guys, like Dijon Lee, this guy's going to be an amazing 5-star, right? And Keelan Russell from Texas, he's a 5-star. And, you look around, big Mike Carroll from Pennsylvania, he's another guy, Ty Lockwood. I mean, he's another 5-star from Texas, but you still got to get the guys in your backyard. And that was a concern that I had from the beginning on this. They did a great job of it, but apparently this is an area where Auburn's probably targeted Alabama, I would think, and say, hey, look, they got all these guys from everywhere else, but we want you guys right here in our perimeter.
Well, I think a lot goes into that process. Right now it's pretty clear, at least in my mind, when you look at Hugh Freeze since he got to Auburn, 2 top 100 commitments from outside of the state of Alabama since, November of 2022. So coming up on, a couple of years, and he hadn't done a whole lot as far as the out-of-state stuff, but he has been fairly successful in state, especially with this class. I mean, assuming they keep everybody, they've done a fantastic job of recruiting in state, but I don't think, where they're from, it certainly matters. And and DeBoer would probably tell you that, but him being a West Coast guy, what were the relationships that were established from the guys from Alabama? How many players did Washington think they were going into the state of Alabama and stealing away from Nick Saban? You know what I'm saying? So there might not be the kind of previously established relationships that you would expect. That's going to continue to come with time. Anybody that meets Kalen DeBoer, they love him. They love his philosophy. He's a very popular guy, is able to connect with the players, but that plays a role. So it feels like, if you're Kalen DeBoer, the number one, the top couple of priorities has to be maintaining the pipeline of talent, overall talent. Doesn't matter if it's in state or out of state. Go get the best players that you possibly can, because that was what Nick Saban did. And he was very good at in-state and out-of-state recruiting. But it's a matter of making sure you've got the dudes on your roster to continue to sustain the level of success that Nick Saban had for, 17 years. That's got to be a priority. And from a stylistic standpoint, it can't just be, we're going to take this guy because he's one of the top players in the state. He's got to fit your system schematically. So that's something else that I don't think people are talking about enough. Some of these players that they're going out there and targeting, especially on the offensive side of the football. I love Alabama's offensive line this year. I think they got a lot of talent. I think Tyler Booker's a phenomenal player. I think Caden Proctor's got a chance to be a phenomenal player. Jaden Roberts, Parker Brailsford, just across the board, they've got a lot of talent. But how much of that talent, as much as I think they're going to be successful this year, which I do, how much of them from a physical makeup fits exactly what Kalen DeBoer wants to do offensively with his offensive line? So he wants to go get premier athletes, just elite athletes who also bring the size that you need to hold up in the SEC. But, that's just one example of a position group where it's not about just taking a guy because he's a highly rated guy in your state. Does he fit your system schematically, what you want to do? And also, I don't think we're talking about this enough, but I think the top 8 players from the state of Alabama are defensive players. And you're going from Nick Saban to Kane Womack.
Yeah.
I don't care who they went to. It's going to be viewed kind of as a step down a little bit. Mm-hmm. That can be disproven. Obviously, Womack is familiar with the area. But when you look at Alabama and you're a defensive player, last year, if you would have been in last year's class, you get a chance to play for Nick Saban. This year, it's not Nick Saban's Alabama anymore. So from a comparative standpoint, it might not be as desirable right now, but I think that's going to come with time. That could also be impacting things. So I don't think anybody needs to freak out and say what you're getting from Kalen DeBoer in state right now is going to continue to be the case.
And all the guys that have decommitted have been on the defensive side of the football.
Absolutely. Antonio Coleman's another one, defensive lineman that's gone back and forth, and so that matters. And obviously Hugh Freeze is an offensive minded guy too, but he's more familiar with the area. There was already some established relationship that Hugh was trying to pull these guys from Nick Saban as well. And, in the future, obviously the 2024 class was the priority last year, but you're looking ahead to 2025 as well. You're seeing it right now with 2026 guys. So my point is there are a lot of factors that go into this that could be contributing. It is possible that Kalen DeBoer, just for whatever reason, everybody else wants to play for him, but nobody in the state of Alabama wants to. Sure, that's a possibility. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, right.
And so, I think with Hugh Freeze, as he, hopefully from an Auburn fan's perspective, starts, trends, you start seeing him turn these quality recruits into more wins from a national brand perspective. The national recognition, maybe you can start going outside of the state of Alabama a little bit more. From Kalen DeBoer's perspective, you're getting the elite talent. If you're turning that into wins, you're kind of sustaining the level of success. Guys from this state are going to continue to want to represent the in-state school when possible. So, I think that from a, in-state perspective, he's going to start looking a little bit more internally, and you'll start seeing him come back towards the middle a little bit. But it's just a different philosophy. They're in two very different places. And I don't think that's, crazy at this point in time, considering, Kalen DeBoer's only been on the job for 6 or 7 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I think that eventually they'll, it's like anything else. Like DeBoer's been a quick study. So when things haven't gone his way, he's always found a way to fix that. And I feel like this is one of those, hey, it's a small bump in the road. Figure out what they're doing. This could be related to NIL. It could be related to relationships, but it's a long way between now and signing day, including the entire season.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point with the NIL. Where are your NIL dollars going? And I think from an Auburn perspective, it's looking more in state right now. Lock down the state. Nick Saban's no longer here. We have opportunities that maybe we didn't have previously. And they know that Kalen DeBoer's kind of playing behind the 8 ball. And from going out of the state and having tremendous success, it's just not there for Auburn yet. So they're going to take what they can get and put together a really solid class. From Alabama's perspective, it's like, okay, I haven't established these relationships yet. I'm trying to build them. We're trying to evaluate who fits, who doesn't fit, whether that be from a physical standpoint, from a cultural standpoint. And that's a huge part of this as well, because Kalen DeBoer, from everything that we know, everywhere he's been, the culture's been there. So it's just, I think people are being very short-sighted with what's happening right now. And they're saying what you're getting from Kalen DeBoer in 2025 is going to be what you're going to get from him, in 2026 and beyond, which is just ignoring the in-state guys. And I'm not saying, I'm not guaranteeing that that's not going to happen, but I think it's highly unlikely. And I can see so many reasons, justifiable reasons, why it currently looks the way that it is. But at the end of the day, they still have the number 2 recruiting class in college football, and they just had the number 1. And who knows what can happen with some of these other 5 stars from the state of Mississippi or wherever. So from a fan's perspective, you can be concerned, but imagine, working your tail off on the recruiting trail and putting together, the number 2 class, the number 1 class in, the SEC or whatever. And you've got fans who are still complaining because you're not doing enough in their mind. So I think the support should be there. If this, continues to be a problem in some future classes, then we can start to talk about it. But I understand some of the reasons that could potentially be going on. And instead of just assuming that it's a Kalen DeBoer problem, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff, Clint. Come back tomorrow. And guys, after this quick timeout, we're going to talk to big sexy Elmo.
To Pearl River Resort.
Bonus episode time, friend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What's going on?
Hey, dude. Did you see Clint?
Yes. Good stuff there with Clint, and he always has some great insight. Look forward to hearing more from him.
I know. Well, what's up with you?
Just another day in paradise, getting ready for football season. We're getting ready for this thing to crank up, I guess, tomorrow with practice And that signals it's here and ready to go. And we were just talking off the air. Not a whole lot happening news-wise. Somewhere Trent Richardson is another one of these Saban guys who's getting into high school coaching. He has apparently signed on to be an assistant coach at Hoover High School in Hoover, Alabama, one of the powerhouses in Class 7A in Alabama. So that's an interesting tidbit from today.
Yeah, cool, man. I always loved him. I see him right here on this Daniel Moore print. You can't see it, but
yeah,
he's right there.
okay.
And I love him. He was always one of my favorite players. You gave me a Trent Richardson signed jersey, which is pretty sweet. He came to your banquet this year.
Yep.
I wish him the best, man. I mean, I thought that he would have had like just a huge NFL career because he was so good in college. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. But that doesn't mean his career is over. I mean, what if he's a great coach? What if he's like one of these guys that has like a whole nother life in coaching? So that's what I hope for him.
Yeah, me too. And you've got so many of these former, coaches that are players that are now coaching at the high school level. Just here in my area, Chavis Williams played for Alabama. He's the head football coach at Dora. He was one of the first recruits that Saban got, and went on to play at the Ravens. And I think Roy Upchurch is now helping him on his staff. So you hear a lot about some of these former players now getting back and getting into the grassroots, the high school level, and I dig it, man. I like it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, cool. Well, that's it for today. Pretty fun. We just the bonus episode. It's like when you turn around, you're like, oh, there's another episode. Yeah, and we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be back the next, and we'll be back the next after that.
It's like a bonus trip to the buffet. It's like your second helping. Okay, we'll give you just a little more.
When you go to the Chinese buffet, do you do the same plate twice, or do you like mix up that second plate and do things you didn't put on there? Because I'm going to tell you right now, like I'm a General's chicken with egg roll and wonton, crab wonton, the first two plates.
The first two plates. What do you do on your third?
Third plate, I'll mix it up. I may go with those chicken spheres they've got, I may go with like orange chicken. Like I might,
kebab.
Kebab. Yeah, chicken kebab. I'll put, if they have the sushi, I'll go with that. Sometimes they have like the Mongolian grill. I'll do that.
Yeah. Sometimes they have cheese sticks, French fries. I don't know what the hell that's doing on
there.
They
have pizza on there. What about
So. I'm like, those look like chicken McNuggets. Those
How about when you go there and they have crawfish?
Yeah, it's like, well, here we go. Let's
thanks here.
Yeah. Oh, that's always a big night now. When you're in Walker County and the local buffet has the crab legs, look out.
What? All right, guys, roll tide.